Before you start working in Microsoft Excel, you should know the basic parts of the Excel program window so that you can find your way around. In this lesson, we will start Excel, we'll save a file in a new location, and identify elements of the program window. Let's get started. First, I'm going to start Excel. I'm going to click the Start button, click on All Programs, click Microsoft Office, then click on Microsoft Excel 2010. When we open up Microsoft Excel, it fills the screen with a blank workbook. On the ribbon here at the top, I'm going to click on File, then I'm going to click on Open. I'm going to locate where I've actually saved my data files. Remember, data files can be found under the Data Files button in Blackboard. I'm going to click on the file EXA-1, that's the data file I want, and I'm going to click on Open. When I open that file, the next thing I want to do, I want to save a copy of the workbook so that we can work with it and leave the original one unchanged. Click on File, Save As, then down here in the file name, I'm going to get rid of the 1, and I'm actually going to call it Trip Advisor Payroll Calculator. Then I'm going to click on Save, because it automatically goes to the place I want it to be saved. I'm going to click Save, and now the new file name appears up here in the title bar. So let's look at the program window. First off, below the ribbon, the worksheet window is organized into a grid. There are columns along the top, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, etc. And there are rows down the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so on and so forth. The intersection of a column and a row is referred to as a cell. Cells hold the data you enter into Microsoft Excel. Each one has its own unique cell address, which is determined by the coordinates of the intersecting column and row. You'll notice right now I'm in cell A1. The address of the cell at the intersection of column A and row 1 is called A1. At the moment, cell A1 also happens to be the active cell. You can tell that because the cell pointer, this dark rectangle, surrounds it. And the address of the active cell always appears up here in the name box. So when I click on different regions, you'll notice there are different names that appear in the name box. Different cell locations. Next to the name box is the formula bar. In this area here, the formula bar, you can enter or edit the data in the active cell. Because the cell A1 is currently the active cell, the formula bar displays the data contained in cell A1. When I click in the formula bar, the mouse pointer changes to an I-beam, and the insertion port appears so I can add or edit text. The pointer shape changes when you're performing different tasks in Excel. When I point to a specific cell, the pointer shape changes to the stick plus sign. When I point to a row heading, the pointer changes to an arrow shape. Below all of these cells that are listed in my worksheet, I also have down here, I have sheet tabs. Clicking a sheet tab allows you to switch from sheet to sheet in a workbook. This button on the right of sheet 3 is the Insert Worksheet button. It allows you to add a worksheet to the workbook if you need another one. By default, an Excel spreadsheet contains 3 sheets, but you can add more sheets if you need them, or delete some sheets, or just leave them blank. And these buttons here, next to the sheets, allow you to scroll left and right with your sheet tabs. This is especially important when you have many sheet tabs, so you can move back and forth and scroll between them as you add more. And what you'll notice, as I've added more, I can go to the very beginning by clicking in the far left, I can go to the very end by clicking the far right, or I can go one by one by clicking just the arrows without the lines by them. what you'll notice is the sheet that has the white behind the tab is the actual active sheet. Right beneath the sheet tabs is the status bar. The status bar gives us the status of our actual spreadsheet that we're working with. It will change depending on what's going on. When it's in ready mode, that means we are ready for action. We're ready to start working with the data that is entered. If I click up here, when I clicked in the formula bar, you'll notice the status bar down here, it puts me into edit mode. Edit mode means that I'm actually working on changing or editing something in my actual document. And if I click on this X, I can exit out of edit mode, the check mark. Along the bottom also, you'll notice the scroll bar. There's the scroll bar, the horizontal scroll that allows me to scroll my columns left and right. There's the scroll bar that's on the right, the vertical scroll bar that allows me to scroll up and down in my document. I also have my view here that I can change. I can increase and decrease, so I can zoom in and zoom out of my view as I'm working with an Excel spreadsheet as I'm doing that. So I'm going to click on cell A4, and oops, I know I'm in A4 because up here I need to make sure that A4 is in the name box, and I can make that the active cell just by clicking on it. You'll notice it has the thick border around, and if I click and go into edit mode, you'll notice that the border becomes a little bit thinner, so I know that I'm in edit mode for that cell if I wanted to actually change it. I can also navigate around on the keyboard by using my arrow keys. What you'll notice as you use the up and down and the left and right arrow keys, it moves to various locations and the cell reference will change. So I'm moving my cell pointer to various locations in my spreadsheet. Now I'm way over in cell A959 and I want to get back to cell A1. The easiest way to do that is do Control Home on your keyboard, and it will automatically take you back to the home cell A1. Okay. I can also highlight information by clicking and dragging with my cell pointer. That's a way to actually highlight something. When I highlight numerous cells together, so if I click here on B5 and I highlight the whole way down to B14, this is referred to as a range, B5 through B14. And what you'll notice in the name box, it says 10 rows by 1 column. And I could also add, I could do 10 rows by 2 columns. Notice that that changes up in the top left in the name box as I hold my mouse button down and I actually make some changes. But one thing I want to point out, what you'll notice, and we'll look at this a little bit more as we work with spreadsheets a little bit more this quarter, and also you'll do this if you take the Spreadsheets Apps class. Notice the status bar added some information about what the selection is that I have. I've selected all numbers. It's actually giving me an average. It's also giving me the number of cells that I've selected, plus it tells me the sum of the values I've selected. So there's a lot of things that you can actually do. So make sure you check out your textbook to learn a little bit more about the Excel window.